Today's event is a part of the outreach exercise, as you can see here, for the two agreements India has signed with two of major trading partners. One is the UAE and the second is the Australia. These are fairly comprehensive trade agreements which cover goods, services and other areas which with the objective of ensuring that the growth in the trade happens, and leading to growth is the big story the country is witnessing with regard to the exports, the contribution of exports in our economy, the growth which has happened over a period of time, and where we have now almost 20% of the GDP contribution coming in from exports. It's something which leads to opportunities, employment, addition to the state GSDP, and ensuring that the overall development happens across the country. So exports as a strategy is part of the whole government's initiative to ensure that as we move along, it becomes a part of the story of the growth of the country and a higher economic contribution in the GDP. We are also looking at part of this export is in the goods sector is Make in India for the world. And Make in India for the world is not merely a slogan, it's a reality which we have seen in the last couple of years, and especially the last year, the way Make in India and the products which across various, whether it was pharmaceutical, whether it was engineering, whether it was agriculture, all of it going across. And similarly is the story with regard to the services, where we are witnessing a higher growth, and services is not only in IT-enabled services, but going across various sectors. And despite all the challenges which we witnessed in the tourism, hospitality, aviation, and so on, so sectors, where we could get a growth which is in the double digit, and it continues there. So all of that is part of the agreements which we have entered, is part of that strategy. And I think so the important thing is what you see here is the union government there, the state government there, the Export Promotion Council there, and that's not the Export Promotion Council only. The Pharmexcil is the lead, but there are other Export Promotion Councils which are there. The industry bodies are there, and the Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry being there. So it's a partnership. The partnership is not only a government-driven partnership, it's a partnership where businesses are part of it, the exporters are part of it, the Export Promotion Councils are part of it. And this has been, even when the negotiations were happening in both of these, UAE and Australia, we had a consultation cutting across industries, and at number of times it even to an individual sector and an individual industry to get the feedback and get the right kind of requirement which is needed to negotiate for getting those items and products in the agreement. And I think so more than 400 consultations took place with the ministries, with the sectors, with the industry bodies, with the export promotion councils, to ensure that what we get is best for the country, best for our businesses, and best for the prosperity of the nation. We have, when we were looking at these agreements, we had the chief negotiator for UAE is here, and I was the chief negotiator for Australia. We have ensured that the sensitivities which we got from the feedback from the industry is addressed in these agreements, but the sectors where we have strength, those are addressed. You must have heard just right now some of the concerns which were raised, whether it was in the pharma industry, whether it was in the IT and IT-enabled services a few minutes back. Let me tell you about Australia. We have got if you look at in Google, one of the toughest pharma regulator is the pharma regulator of Australia, which is called the TGA, Therapeutic Goods Australia Regulator. But we involved the Pharmexcil, the couple of industry people as part of our negotiation. We took them to Australia, got an understanding, and now we have a situation where what we heard of the time period and the cost to access market, we heard of getting the reports of roughly 15 crore just to get to that access. We heard the Arvindo officials saying that. So all of that would be part of it, where generic goods, generic drugs, the prescription drugs, and the factory's approval will be part of a fast-track process to ensure that the challenges pharma sector faces in market access to Australia is addressed. And similar is the case where you just heard that in 90 days a fast-track approval would happen for UAE. This is just one example. We heard in the IT and IT-enabled services one challenge which was there with regard to the double taxation avoidance agreement with Australia and the cost which is being incurred by the IT industry on this aspect. We've included that as part of this whole agreement, that when the agreement comes into the force, the trade agreement, at the same time we would have the double taxation avoidance agreement challenges which we have faced, where actually one of our companies, IT companies, went in before the Supreme Court in Australia and lost. But we managed to persuade the Australian government to amend their law to address the industry concerns. And these are just the examples. Similarly, for the agriculture, you heard on the agriculture sector side, the market access and how it can be leveraged through the UAE to the whole of West Asia and to the Africa, which can be then provided. So on the education sector, similarly, we have more than 1 lakh of Indian students are studying in Australia. And one of the feedback which we got was that once they pass out, getting a visa, work visa is a challenge. Roughly 4 billion annually US dollar is spent on their parents or the students taking loans for pursuing studies there. So we've ensured that every student in the which passes out from an Australian university will be assured of a work visa, which would be ranging on the kind of qualification and the kind of degree or the diploma the student has pursued. So I think so those are very, very significant. And similarly, what was told about in the IT sector, getting the talent, getting the easier movement of inter-corporate transferees, both in the UAE agreement and in the Australia agreement are part of it. So I think so the constant feedback, interaction with the industry, the involvement with various stakeholders, addressing India's sensitivities, but at the same time looking at the long-term period. I think so both of these agreements are wonderful templates for also, as you heard, for entering into any agreement with the developed countries. In more than a decade, we haven't entered into any agreement with a developed country. And I think so that is another part of the whole process which we have followed. I think so I would like to conclude by saying we thank the Government of Telangana. We thank all the EPCs who are part of it. We thank all the industries, CII, FICCI. And this is just the beginning. I'm happy to also say that Hyderabad, we've started the state outreach, but we will be continuing and we'll going to various cities across the country as part of it. People who have interest should, we have on 2nd May in Bangalore, and then it goes to various other cities as we get the programs finalized. I think so. The most important message I want to conclude with is the businesses should prepare, look at the agreements, look at the opportunities, talk to your counterpart in Australia, talk to your counterpart in UAE, get prepared so that the moment this agreement, the UAE agreement comes into effect from 1st May, you are able to capture those benefits right from day one. And this is the feedback which we got from the industry, that the government signs the agreement, but we are not made aware of it. So I think so this is the significant part of this whole exercise, where I should compliment all of you for participating and now going out, talking to the concerned uh, individuals, the buyers there, or talking to the associations, business bodies, and through them getting the benefits of the agreement and reaping it immediately. I think so. That's the message I would like for all of you to work on and take forward the wonderful agreements which we have entered both with the UAE and Australia. Thank you so much, and thanks also to the various uh, people who have ensured that this has happened, and especially our Joint Secretary Commerce, Mr. Shrikar Reddy, who has worked tirelessly to get this program in a short time, and with this kind of presence which we have, I'm sure success in these agreements would very quickly be a reality. Thanks.